Hey everyone, Burton Borders, and today, after that draw against Crystal Palace, I'm going to be tackling refereeing because another decision went against us. So I'm going to be looking at some of the decisions this season that have cost Chelsea points. So let's get into it. First of all, making this video, I'm not blaming. Yeah, I am kind of blaming the officiating, but it's not only the officiating. We still got to do our job. We shouldn't be relying on refereeing decisions to get results, but they do play a big part in some of the results. You know, you saw it with Nottingham Forest last year with Ed and Wolverhampton Wanderers, where time and time again decisions went against them and affected their league position. Forest haven't had that many decisions go against them this year, and they're currently sitting third in the league table. Could go joint second if they win tomorrow. Before I get into the main video, I just like to I always like to put my hand up when I get things wrong. Obviously I didn't see the first half, so I was kind of making a judgment on Maresca and the team from a game I didn't see. Having now been able to view it and form an opinion, he set the team up quite well, to be fair. So he wasn't stubborn in his tactics. So I think I may have mentioned that yesterday. He wasn't stubborn. He tried a different way of playing. I think it was 4-1-4-1 tactics. And had it not been for poor finishing and poor decision making, like that's been the story of our teams over the last 3 or 4 seasons, no matter who the manager is, then we would have had this game done and dusted before Crystal Palace could even get back into the game. So, yeah. So that's me, that's my disclosure, and as I said, I'm not afraid to put my hand up when I get things wrong. So anyway, into the video. I think in our last 4 games, obviously we've only picked up 2 points out of 12, but in all of those games there has been a moment of controversy, and they've all gone against Chelsea. I can't think of anything in the last 4 games where Chelsea have got away with one. But there's big decisions by the referee and the VAR which haven't been called. And let's start with the first one. The first one was the one against Everton, where Pickford comes rushing out of his goal. Could have broken Gusto's leg. And it wasn't even looked at by VAR. I think VAR looked at it, and what did they say? Not enough contact or something ridiculous. The reason there wasn't enough contact because Gusto jumped out of the way, and he came out as a goal. He came out in with his legs out first, rather than coming out like a goalkeeper. So I had touched on the Pickford situation anyway in my last a few videos ago, so I don't want to prolong that one. But so we've had that situation. Then we went on to the Fulham game, and in the Fulham game we had a situation where Pedro Neto, he did collide with the player. I think it was more him than Iwobi. So it's not blown up for a foul, but he did get as he sort of went to cut across Iwobi, contact was made in his face. So it was a head injury. So when you have a head injury, the referee, he's got a duty of care to blow his whistle. He allowed play to go on a couple of phases, and ultimately Fulham scored from that situation. We had a situation against Ipswich where a similar situation where I think Levi Colwill, he had a collision with his head. He went down. The referee blew straight away. But so this time the referee did the right call. But against Fulham, the referee didn't, and it could have been dangerous. It could have been worse because he was still groggy after the goal. So what's wrong with that? Is this consistency that I'm calling for. There was a lack of consistency in that situation. And then we go on to the Ipswich game, and then you've got the situation with Rory Delap, where I keep calling him Liam, sorry, and that's another thing. I called him Rory Delap all throughout the preview video because that's his dad, but I was used to Rory playing, but it's Liam Delap. So Liam Delap, the faintest of touches by our goalkeeper. I had to looked at that one about 5 or 6 times, and I still couldn't see. I think he moved his knee up slightly, but was it enough for Liam Delap to go down? No. And the thing is, the referee was so quick to give that situation. Was it a clear and obvious mistake for them to turn it around? Some people say no, it wasn't clear and obvious. But then I go back to the Liverpool situation when we had a situation where Jadon Sancho has turned inside and Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he gets trodden on the, Trent stands on his foot. And from what I heard from Dermot Gallagher, the reason why there wasn't enough contact made for him to go down. So if I'm looking at that, as again, I'm looking at it from a consistency point of view. If that wasn't enough contact for him to go down, then what's the difference with the Liam Delap situation? There was no way enough contact for him to go down. So from that alone, I do think it should have been overturned. And we've got this bar now with the handball, where what is an handball, what isn't an handball, and we had a situation where against I think it was Kovacic when we played Man City, where it wasn't a handball because the ball was deemed to be too close to. His arm wasn't as far out enough, and I thought it was kind of out a bit, but it wasn't out enough, and it's in close proximity. So the bar's been set there for handballs, and to be fair, it's been quite consistent this year with the handball situation. With if the hand isn't that far out and it's close, it's not a penalty, and that's been quite consistent. But what is enough contact, what isn't enough contact, hasn't been. So we need to set a ruling on what is enough contact, what isn't enough contact, and that should be, the referee should be clear with what is and what isn't, and it should be consistent across the piece. Because even going back to that Liverpool game where the Colwill challenge on Curtis Jones, again, it was a little tap on his foot which brought him down. Same referee, different situation. Similar situation, I have to say. Same referee, similar situation. He gives one at one end, doesn't give one at the other end. Why? Because it's at Liverpool. It's against Chelsea. It's an easy decision for him to make. And as I said, that's the same referee in the same match. Lack of consistency. And then yesterday we have a similar one where. At first, I didn't call it out when I did my match review, because when I looked at it from one part of the goal, behind the goal, so it did look like the Crystal Palace defender did get a foot on the ball. But then, when you see it from another angle, you can see that he didn't. I think Neto beat him to it by a fraction. Beat him to it, so he got his foot to the ball first. Although the Palace defender did then get the ball, but I think he got the player then ball. So if they looked at it from a different angle, and I think the BBC showed it from a different angle, for me that was a penalty, and that would have been 2-0 and probably game over. So that's another decision. So if you look at just the Christmas period, for instance, there's 4 decisions against us. So arguably we could have got possibly 10 points, possibly or 12, if all those decisions had gone our way. And that's it. That's what we're talking about, margins again when we're looking at football. I'm saying that this side isn't experienced enough, not ready enough to challenge, but with those little margins, it could have been different. We could have been on 6 points. We could have been on 8 more points, or we could have been on 12 more points. We never know. But that's what I'm saying. It's just every decision is going against Chelsea at the moment. And I'm looking at it from my blue tinted glasses. Are there decisions? Someone may point to some decisions that have gone our ways. I'm scratching my head thinking of any decisions that I think we've been beneficiary of. Like, that could have been. One can argue maybe the Colwill situation. Was it Colwill, or who was it? Or Badiashile, was it, against Liverpool, when it arguably could have been a red card. But again, the reason wasn't, which is a good enough reason, is that the Liverpool players still had a lot of distance to cover, and then we did have cover which was in close proximity to where the defender had made his foul, so it was different from the Arsenal one. I think Arsenal had one against, was it Brighton or was it? I think it was Brighton the day before, but so this was a totally different situation. So, so anyone can think of a situation, because you obviously tend to remember the ones that affect you, but don't remember the ones that you got lucky. I'm quite honest and saying, if we got away with one, I'll put my hand up and say, you know what, we got away with that one, or we were lucky with that. So, if anyone can think of one that comes to mind, just stick it in the comment section below. So, referees and VAR need to do a better job of the situation. As I said, I'm in no way excusing that and saying that that's the reason that we have lost points. But as I said, that is part of the reason. And they got to do better. And I like to see our club being a bit more vocal. I like to see our manager being a bit more vocal and highlighting these situations. You know, Pep Guardiola used to do it. Alex Ferguson was the master of doing that. Jurgen Klopp used to do it. And what that does, it just allows, I think when Everton did it, when they had a bad decision against them last season, it makes the referees think. It puts the spotlight on them now, because if we're just being passive and not doing anything, then they just continue to get away with this. But if we put pressure on them, then at least it will, and I said, put things in the spotlight, and it would, as a in the human mind, it thinks, subconsciously they may think, we're in a lot of pressure at the moment because of these situations. So I don't want to be in the spotlight as a referee. So I've got to be careful, and the VAR team as well. They may, I'm not saying will, they may make better decisions, the correct decisions. That's what we all want, and that's what we all need. So let me know, let me hear what you think in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on all post notifications to be notified every time I make a new video. So take care, bye bye.